Now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, exclusively here as always on the Casa D18 Studios channel. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade JJ Williams, and we're kicking off our second feature here as part of Black History Month. And today we're going to take a look at the Tuskegee Airmen, starring Laurence Fishburne, Alan Payne, Malcom Jamal Warner, Courtney B. Vance, Christopher McDonald, John Lithgow, Cuba Gooding Jr., Mekhi Pfeifer, and Rosemary Murphy. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me here once again for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. As I said in the introduction, today is our second feature as part of Black History Month, and we're going to be taking a look at the Tuskegee Airmen. And our movie opens during World War II as Hannibal Iowa Lee Jr. travels by train to Tuskegee, Alabama. He is soon joined by fellow flight cadet candidates Billy A. Train Roberts, Walter Peoples III, and Lewis Johns. At the start of their training, they are met by Colonel Noel Rogers, the commander of the base, Major Sherman Joy, the director of training, and Second Lieutenant Glenn, the liaison officer. The cadets are then briefed by Rogers and Joy, both with their own views that set the tone for what the cadets would later face in training. Rogers has an optimistic view of the cadets, wanting them to prove the naysayers wrong and letting them know how much of an honor it would be for the cadets to pass the training and earn their wings as aviators. However, Major Joy reflects the views of most of white America at the time, belittling the cadets and questioning whether they are truly up to the task. Afterward, Lieutenant Glenn tells the cadets that he hoped that they took note of the differing views of the two officers. Later that evening, the cadets are chatting amongst themselves, and they begin to introduce themselves and what their college majors were. It is at this point that Walter Peoples guarantees that no one's name would be called above his on graduation day. Now, while the cadets begin their classes, Major Joy begins his ploy to discredit the cadets. During a classroom session, Joy has them retake the same flight exam that they had to pass in order to get into the program. Later, he takes Peoples on a flight after it is revealed that he has a commercial pilot license. Joy takes the training aircraft, a PT-17, through tricky and dangerous moves in order to try to break Peoples' will. But the tactic doesn't work, which only seems to frustrate Joy even more. Afterwards, Major Joy explains to Colonel Rogers why he decided to give the retest, and Joy's beliefs that some, if not all, of the cadets may have cheated in order to get into the program. Rogers then informs Joy that nobody scored less than a 95 on the retest and scorns Joy about his tactics. After briefing the cadets, Major Joy sends each cadet up on flights in their PT-17 training aircraft with an instructor pilot. It ends tragically for Cadet Johns as he struggles to get his aircraft out of a stall. The instructor also tries to regain control, but it is too late as the plane crashes into a building, exploding on impact and killing both Johns and his instructor. Afterwards, Cadet Leroy Cappy begins to let self-doubt creep in after seeing John's deadly crash and watching others leave the program. Cadets Lee and Peoples give Cappy a stern pep talk, telling him not to quit. The cadets then continue their training, flying with their instructor pilots and controlling the planes on their own. Major Joy even lets Cadet Lee make several solo flights around the base. While watching a film on air combat, Lieutenant Green steps in and begins to teach the cadets. Peoples questions Lieutenant Green on why he, and not Major Joy, is teaching air combat class. Lieutenant Glenn then reveals that he had joined the Royal Canadian Air Force, where he was credited with 3 kills, making him the only Army Air Corps officer on the base with actual air combat experience. Peoples and Lee, each flying solo in the AT-6 Texan training plane, take part in a mock dogfight where Peoples gets an edge on Lee and shoots him down. Afterwards, Peoples performs some unauthorized aerobatic maneuvers in order to try and impress Hannibal. However, this also catches the attention of Colonel Rogers and Major Joy, and it results in him being removed from the training program. Peoples admits that he made a mistake and begs them not to remove him from the program, but to no avail. So, to avoid going home in disgrace, Peoples commandeers an AT-6, takes off with it, and commits suicide by deliberately crashing it. Back at the cadets' barracks, tensions and emotions following Peoples' death begin to reach the boiling point. Cadet Roberts has a heated exchange with Cadet Lee on Major Joy's tactics, saying that Joy set out to break Peoples and killed him like putting a carbine to his head. Cadet Cappy, again letting his own self-doubts creep back in, sides with Roberts against Lee, saying that he doesn't see any reason to continue on if Major Joy is going to stick with his attempts to break them as well. Cadet Lee fires back, saying that Major Joy's game plan was to make them quit and that he isn't going to fall for it. Lee emphatically says that he isn't going to let Major Joy, anyone else in the base, or the commander-in-chief himself stop him from his dreams of flying. Lieutenant Glenn and Cadets Lee, Roberts, and Cappy one day are on a routine training mission when Cappy's plane begins to experience trouble. Cappy and Lee then land on a country road where a prison chain gang are out working in a roadside field. As the planes are coming in to land, the prison guards force the prisoners out of the way in order to make room for the planes to land. The guards stand with a mixed look of both praise and curiosity when the cadets exit the aircraft, and their emotions turn to utter shock when Lee and Cappy take their flight masks off, revealing themselves as black aviators. The cadets go on to successfully earn their wings and are commissioned as second lieutenants in the Army Air Corps. However, they are not deployed to go to the European theater due to congressional concerns over their race. When First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt arrives for an inspection of the base, she chooses Lee to take her up in an aircraft. With the ensuing positive press coverage, the men are then deployed to North Africa as part of the 99th Pursuit Squadron, though they are relegated to ground attack missions. During the campaign, Lee's flight encounters a group of BF-109s. Ignoring Lee's orders, Cappy breaks formation and attacks, downing one of them. Another Bf 109 hits Cappy's fighter aircraft numerous times, causing a fire in the cockpit and fatally wounding him. Cappy is then killed when his damaged fighter plane crashes after catching fire. A congressional hearing of the House Armed Services Committee is then convened to determine whether the Tuskegee Airmen experiment should continue. The men are charged with inherent incompetence, and a medical study is used to claim that Negroes are incapable of handling complex machinery. The hearing decides in favor of the Tuskegee Airmen due to testimony by their commanding officer, Lieutenant Colonel Benjamin O. Davis, and the 99th Pursuit Squadron joins 3 new squadrons out of Tuskegee to form the all-black 332nd Fighter Group under the now promoted Colonel Benjamin O. Davis. The 332nd is then deployed to Ramatel, Italy, in order to provide escort for Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress heavy bombers, which are experiencing heavy losses. During this deployment, Lee and Roberts sink a German destroyer. They also rescue a struggling B-17, which is being attacked by 2 German fighters while returning from a bombing raid, shooting down both of the enemy Bf-109s. When the bomber's pilot and co-pilot travel to Ramatel to thank them, the B-17 pilot refuses to believe that black pilots saved them. During a subsequent escort assignment, Roberts is shot down, and later on, Lee is awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross for sinking the German destroyer and is promoted to captain. Having earned the respect and admiration of the white bomber pilots, the Tuskegee Airmen are specifically requested for a raid on Berlin, Germany. A request advanced in a mission briefing by the same pilot who originally refused to believe that the 332nd had helped his plane, all as our movie comes to its end. This is another one of those topics that I knew about from history, from reading, from going to school. You learn about the Tuskegee Airmen, but you don't really know their entire backstory. You don't get the who, what, when, where, whys. You don't get the rhymes and the reasons. You just get a base story about this all-black fighter pilot team that fought during the war. And while most of the characters are fictitious, they are based off of real individuals. So you still get that essence of history, even though none of the characters that we see and we meet are actual real people. They're amalgams of multiple people put into one character. But be that as it may, that one inaccuracy notwithstanding, you get this real sense of history and accomplishment and breaking down doors and barricades and barriers. And it's such a cool movie to sit back and watch because you get to take all this information in. I love Laurence Fishburne, so that was an easy sell right there. Then you start adding in all the supporting cast. Cuba Gooding Jr., so we've got a Boys in the Hood reunion. Furious and Trey Styles, father and son, are playing, part of the same squadron here. You've got Mekhi Pfeifer, you've got Malcom Jamal Warner, probably best known for being Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show. You just got this great supporting cast all kind of weaving things into this movie and the story, and that just ups the sell factor for me right there, because now it's got all these people that I've already got history with from all the other things that I've seen them in. I mean, I can't even begin to count all the things I've seen Mekhi Pfeifer in. Same with Laurence Fishburne, same with Cuba Gooding. But then you put all those elements in together in the same recipe, the same pot to cook, and you've just got an amazing cast. And then you've got an amazing story, and you've got all the other stuff on top of it. I don't know why I've never seen this movie until now. Possibly because it was an HBO original. At the time it came out, I don't think I had HBO. So that could play a factor into it. I don't know if it's really ever had a DVD or home media release. Maybe a video when it first came out, but I don't know if it was ever released on DVD or anything. Something I'm definitely going to have to look into, though, because I would like to own this so I have it for repeated viewings. It was that good. If you've never seen it, you can find it right now on HBO Max. I recommend you check it out, give it a watch, see what I'm talking about. But I really enjoyed this film. When it comes to my rating of it, I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 stars. I look forward to seeing it again down the road. I look forward to trying to find it on home media so that I can watch it and own it and add it to my extensive collection. Those of you that have seen it, what do you think? Let me know. If you're watching the premiere, leave your thoughts and comments over here. If you're watching on demand later in the day, leave your thoughts and comments down here. But let's have that conversation, that discussion, that debate, that interaction that I'm always asking you guys for in the comments below. And today is a packed day, so make sure you tune in at the top of the half hour, right here to the Casa D18 Studios channel for another edition of Renegades Reviews. And it's new release Saturday. We're going to be taking a look at Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, starring Nikolai Leon, Craig David Dowsett, Chris Cordell, Maria Taylor, Natasha Tosini, Natasha Rose Mills, Danielle Ronald, and Toby Wynn Davies. And then at the top of the hour, right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, the Jeff Meacham Network, and across the Jeff Meacham Network multiverse of media, we will begin our coverage of WWE's Elimination Chamber PLE. 4 o'clock p.m. Pacific, 7 Eastern, myself, the Simple Man Noah Foster, on the call, giving our predictions, live reactions, play-by-play commentary for the last major stop on the road to SoFi Stadium and WrestleMania 39. And then immediately following, again on the Casa D18 Studios channel, on the Jeff Meacham Network, across the Jeff Meacham Network multiverse of media, it'll be time once again for open mic night. Myself, Noah Foster, the Heeb Man James Hebert, and whoever else decides to come through the doors and step up to the microphone will be able to join us as we discuss this week in professional wrestling. You don't want to miss out on any of that content right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, on the Jeff Meacham Network, across the Jeff Meacham Network multiverse of media. We still have new release Saturday in store for you here today, as well as pay-per-view PLE coverage, open mic night, and so much more. You don't want to miss any of it, so make sure you smash that like button, make sure you're subscribed, make sure that notification bell is turned on so you don't miss out anytime a video drops right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel or anytime we go live, as is the case with Statboy Sports Bar, open mic night, pay-per-view PLE coverage, etc. Share these videos with your family, friends, loved ones, coworkers, movie fanatics, cinephiles in your life, fans of Laurence Fishburne, fans of Cuba Gooding Jr., fans of Malcom Jamal Warner or Mekhi Pfeifer. Anybody you can think of that would enjoy this content in this video, share it with them It's the only way we're going to boost up my visibility in YouTube's algorithms so I can eventually get monetized and make some money on the hard work I've been putting into this channel over the last 2 years. Thank you once again to everyone who joined me and tuned in today. It means so much more to me than you'll ever know. And I will see you guys next time.